90% of Airbnb hosts are at risk of going out of business over the next couple of months, and quite frankly, they deserve it. Hot take, slightly savage, but true. The reason why 90% of hosts deserve to go out of business is they're not treating their business like a business. They're not in this business. A lot of them are passive real estate investors. They are hobbyists, and they are on the internet actively complaining about how hard their life is instead of going to war and getting competitive. Even famous people are online going, oh, this is so hard. I lost money. I don't think you should start an Airbnb business in 2023. And then, of course, sadly, that same person said this guy, Sean, is promoting Airbnb because he sells course products. And because of that, he's going to push an opportunity that you shouldn't get into. Talking someone into a sketchy opportunity in order to profit off of their attempt at that opportunity is a scam. And Kevin Daniel actually got fined $53 million for the same exact thing from what he's been doing here on YouTube. It's a pretty serious accusation, but a lot of you know that's not why I'm here. Most of the content for the last couple of months has been educational, how to get through the bust, pricing strategy, how the algorithm works, what Airbnb did to our listings that caused us to go under, how I'm changing my listings materially in order to pop out better in the algorithm, better in search to get better conversion. We've talked about firing your co-host, hiring your own housekeepers in order to lean out your costs, to stay competitive. All of this stuff is stuff that I've actively done myself and have proven it works. And those of you watching this video, if you watch videos like this, you are the finite few in the host community. There are hundreds of thousands of hosts, and these videos get just thousands of views, which means we're talking 1 to 6% of the host community might catch an educational video on here. And so what I'm saying to you is if you're one of the few percent of hosts that watch this educational content, you are the host most likely to succeed and survive. And I'm rooting for you. And I want you to destroy the other 95%. Because again, this is business. And objectively speaking, business is war. Capitalism is war. And all is fair in love and war. And so when we are here to try to win market share so we can provide for our families and the people that we love, yes, we want to destroy everybody else on the block. This is totally okay. And that's why big corporations put up red tape to create barriers to entry so people don't compete with them in their areas of business. That's why lobbyists exist. And that's why Airbnb regulations can largely be good for your business if it prevents more people from getting into the space. For over a year, I knew the secret to picking up Airbnbs in Austin based on a certain permitting loophole. And I just didn't tell anybody publicly for over a year because I wanted the first swing of the bat. I wanted to keep supply at bay. And that way I could make money on Airbnb where everything else I gave you for free was sufficient here. But you guys didn't know I'm still sleeping on some information I could give away for free because I am also still very competitive in the space. I still live off this income. My Airbnb income is how I have maintained my livelihood. So I've got to keep some things inside of my coat pocket, if you know what I mean. What I'm asking you to do might be rough, but I want you guys to really take this to consideration. I want you to watch your competitors, watch them make mistakes, let them make mistakes. Learn from their mistakes. I want you to study not only this industry, but best business practices. Concepts like value creation, contribution margin, cost of acquisition, lifetime value, some things we've talked about on this channel. You guys need to know this stuff because it goes beyond just setting up a pretty little house on Airbnb, making a little bit of money. We're trying to put other people out of business. That's what we're trying to do. Ask the biggest companies in the world like Sonder. They are so happy that Stay Alfred went out of business. That's more money for them at the end of the day. That's more investors for them at the end of the day. And if you're too soft to agree with this sentiment, I hope you come around one day. I hope the world is soft enough with you back that you survive a long, long time because you're here, you're trying. You're trying to be a better person. You're trying to be a better hospitality business owner. You might not even realize that you are a hospitality business owner. You might even still think that you're some real estate investor with a property that you're trying to make passive through a co-host. And if you're one of those people watching this video and you have a co-host that runs your property, you're making one of the biggest mistakes on the planet because every dollar generated, you have to shave off money to your co-host first before you get any of it. I don't have to do that. Not only that, but the cost of my housekeeping is much lower because I own the systems, and my responsiveness through a pricing strategy that I run is much faster than any co-host would ever do. A lot of co-hosts, because they're not incentivized to not lose money, will only plug you into Price Labs or Wheelhouse and just let it run, and that's it. They think that that software is enough to maximize revenue, enough to be satisfied, because they don't give you credit for knowing shit about Airbnb. I'm sorry I'm going to say it that way. The same critique that I gave this one famous person that their audience is mad that I mentioned her, she has a co-host. That co-host doesn't respect her. That co-host has not done what it takes to get that property full, and she did not know enough about this industry to keep her own co-host in check. Essentially, it's the unethical leading the dumb. The co-host should have done more work to protect her, to make her money. She should have known enough about this industry to know when her co-host was screwing her over. But that's not how that went, and she lost a ton of money. Her co-host still got paid. So what's going to happen? People like me are going to put her out of business. Sad for her. It would be really cool if she could make money as an Airbnb one day. I wish her well. But there's going to be plenty of other people who have co-hosts, and those co-hosts are going to drive those people dry. And this is where we come into play. Being steadfast, running lean, having lower internal operating costs because you own your own housekeepers, you do your own revenue management, you pay attention to market changes, you adapted when the algorithm changed, and now you're back in search. You're going to stick around. And you're going to have that experience. You're going to have a couple tours of war under your belt. And when people get out of the industry, they will let go of furniture on the cheap. They're going to cause a deflation in the rental market or the real estate market to some degree in certain areas, which allow you to get into new properties on the cheap as well. You could take over somebody's failing listing. And I almost did this in Houston. There's a woman who came to me and said, hey, I've got 10 properties. I'm losing money. Will you take them from me? I showed up and I looked at her properties and I did a tour, and I realized that she was one of my students for the pricing strategy thing that I sold years ago. And I told her, hey, I can make a killing on your properties right now. I can make a couple changes and make money, but I can tell you, because the way this is looking, you shouldn't let go of these properties. It's going to cost you more money to let go of them and hand them to me than it would be for you just to survive in one more month. And I promise you, if you could just survive one more month and maybe a $200 per listing, $300 per listing loss, they'll still be cheaper than losing these properties. So what I want you to do is change your pricing this way, and this way. And I want you to make an adjustment to your listings here and here. And inside of a month, you should be profitable or better. And her friend was like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that. Because again, this is a student that watches my channel. I had the opportunity to take 10 listings on the mega cheap from her. And now I didn't do that because it's one of our students, one of the Airbnb family here in this channel. But my point for you is, if you didn't have a relationship with somebody like that, like I did, she watches this YouTube channel, you could find hosts that are going out of business. They are scared, they're losing money. You can look at their listings and go, oh, I know exactly why you're losing money. Your listing sucks because of its photos, your pricing strategy, you never ever change your prices, XYZ problems. I can see those problems in your business. I will take over your listing, thank you, and now I will run it profitably. You can do that too. And so in the volatile boom and bust cycle of this industry, which it's always going to come wave after wave, we're going to have eras where there's low supply because everybody quits or has to quit because they didn't have the cash balance to survive through a bust. Then when there's a low supply, all the hosts here, we make a ton of money, we can cash up and grow. And then when the going gets good again, every influencer on the planet's gonna be like, I'm getting into Airbnb. And we're gonna have more of these little newbie influencers that are creating listings and try to promote that they've got a property and they're investing in real estate and so cool. And then that's going to cause a bunch of people to get into the space again, a bunch of newbies to get in the space again. They're going to oversupply the market, and then business best practices will decide who lives and who dies. People will run out of cash, and then people will quit. Restart the cycle. We want 90% of the host community to go out of business. We need the bottom to fall out to set a stasis and a stabilization again. Those of you who are in this for real are running an actual business and you plan to be here 5 or 10 years from now, and you plan on providing value to your guest in some significant way. This isn't just some real estate play. And if you're doing this because you think it's a real estate play, you are so sorely mistaken, and you're going to get your butt kicked, because not only is the market going to screw you, but your co-host is going to screw you. You're going to lose money twice, and you're going to get out, and you're going to be so mad you ever did it, and you're probably never going to come back. And that's good for the rest of us in the host community. There's a lot of soft people on the internet, I've noticed by looking at my comments from previous videos, and they want everyone to be successful and included. Well, globally, big picture, yes, everyone should be successful somewhere. Everyone should be included somewhere. But if you step into the short-term rental space, you need to understand you signed up to run a business, a competitive one. Hospitality is dog eat dog. And if you come to this channel and watch educational content, you have a shot. You have a solid shot of running a successful business. But if you don't study because you thought this was supposed to be easy because some influencer talked you into it, yes, you're going to get absolutely crushed. You don't belong here. You belong somewhere else, somewhere more safe, somewhere more soft. You maybe shouldn't be a business owner, and that's okay. Otherwise, this could be the hard lesson for you to learn, much like when I went homeless in 2009. That was a really tough lesson for me, and it forced me to shape up. So after my first major business failure and then going homeless, I had to take a hard look at myself, what I was doing right and wrong, and then start a new company, finally successful, still in the newspaper industry back in 2010. And if I didn't go homeless in 2010, I might still kind of have this weird chip on my shoulder where I would not have the wherewithal to withstand some of the negativity that shows up in the comments on these YouTube videos. It might actually matter to me. But when you've gone homeless, some salty person in your YouTube comments, they just don't matter anymore. You've been through real stuff, and somebody's sentiment in the YouTube comments no longer has any bearing. And maybe this is also why it's so easy for me to deal with bad guests in the Airbnb platform. As you guys know, here in hospitality, people can get really ugly. And like I've told you before in a previous video, the reason why guests can be so bad is because here in the States, people get maybe 2 weeks a year of vacation time or less. And a lot of people have had bad previous travel experiences. So because of that, they're really wound up about their current travel experience. And they're so afraid of having a bad one that at the first sign of trouble, they get scared that their whole trip is ruined. And who are they going to take that out on? right? They're going to take it out on the service providers that they're around. They're going to lash out to their service providers and try to demand some form of compensation or accommodation in order to have a better trip because they're afraid that everything's going to implode. It's not that these people are actually really bad people in real life. You go back to their hometowns, they're usually pretty good people. But people, when they're all nerves and when they're in survival mode, they are on their worst behavior. So here in hospitality, we see the worst of people. And that creates this really interesting duality in the space. If you want to survive in short-term rentals or in hospitality, you have to be lethal and relentless against your competition. You have to bring a sword to that fight, but with your customers, you have to be the most soft and accommodating and empathetic person you can be. You have to be both sides of that coin, because if you act too hard with your customers, you lose your customers. If you act too soft with your competition, they take you out by the neck. And this is the hard truth that is short-term rentals. It used to be this cool, disruptive place where people could put their property up on Airbnb and you'd sleep on somebody's couch or in their spare room and everybody was safe and happy. It's no longer like that. The Sonders, the Stay Alfreds, the Zeuses, the Barsalas, the Vicasas of the world have all made sure that this is a heavily competitive hotel-style industry now, and they are looking forward to crushing you. Even more so than I'm looking forward to crushing the 90% of hosts that don't watch these videos. They are coming for everybody. They're a professional level host with thousands of listings that want to put you out of business. So it's us versus hotels, and it's us versus Sonder now. You will not survive being soft. You will not survive having a 2013 or 2014 mentality to this. But what's really cool and interesting, if you want to survive in Airbnb right now, you need to deliver value with that same level of authenticity, empathy, vulnerability that a host in 2013 or 14 would. You see, Sonder and Barsala, those kinds of companies, they don't have the capability of delivering the magic the same way. They've gotten too big. They're much more like a hotel. So everything that they do is calculated, controlled, measured, and it has to balance on their books. You can do outlandish, hard to duplicate stuff right now, and you will be safe from hotels and Sonders. But you also have to do all the most basic business things right. You have to lower your internal costs. You have to bill guests when they damage your stuff. You cannot be a pushover. You cannot get walked upon where it matters. Deliver the magic like a small business provider, but be ready to fight that dogfight when it comes to resolutions, when it comes to cost allocation for like housekeeping, when it comes to arbitration against Airbnb, even when it comes to holding your ground against your competition where somebody like me can come in and just dunk on you. You need to fight that fight. Weird video. I hope it's a wake-up call, and I hope it helps. To the 10% or less of you that are watching these videos, I will see you at the end. And of course, the other 90% that don't watch these videos, I guess we will host them all a funeral in a couple of months when they go out of business. I'm rooting for all of you guys, all doom and gloom and capitalism aside. I really like having you guys as a community, and I look forward to serving you for years to come. Thanks for watching this video. And as always, I will see you on the other side.